A dementia resident trying to make a phone call out of a dementia unit is fraught with anxiety. Can they get the charge nurse to make the phone call? Do they even know who the charge nurse is? And indeed, if the charge nurse is able to make the phone call, will they be able to reach the person that you're wanting to speak to, and will they be available? So there's so many aspects to this. And then indeed, if they get through to the person, say their son, and they're speaking on the phone, have they got the strength to stand up? You know, will their knees hold out? Will their arm hold out, holding onto the phone? Will their concentration be up to it? Can they indeed get the words out that they want to speak? So many aspects. So to ease this whole arrangement, the best thing is to make a phone call. Make a phone call in, and still preparation is needed for that. Preparation, explanation, and encouragement all goes a long way. So rather than expecting, or rather than the resident themselves calling out, which is so stressful, really it can take a whole day to try and get a phone call out. And even then, after all that waiting in line and calling out, the person that they're ringing may not even be available to speak, but they won't know that at the other end. But as staff, when you're working in a facility, you get to see this. So by far the better arrangement is if the person rings. Say, for example, the son rings in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to speak to the mother. Now still, preparation still is needed, because you don't want to wake your mother up from a sleep to speak to you at 4 o'clock when she will be totally disorientated and not expecting it. There's a whole raft of things that need to be in place to have the highest chance of a good quality phone call, which I'll go into now. Okay, so say the mother, she has Alzheimer's, she's in her early 80s, her son's phoning at 4 o'clock. So as a staff member, say the carer, goes into the room of the mother and prepares her and says, look, say, Mrs. Jones, at 4 o'clock your son's going to call you. So I'm waking you up now. In 15 minutes he's going to be calling you from the farm, and I just want you to be awake and alert and ready for it. No doubt she'll be very happy about that. So the carer then puts the mother in her comfy chair in the sun, ready and relaxed. So she's got 5-10 minutes to think about it, unwind, relax, and get her thoughts in place. So that's the first thing, preparation. Then the next thing is, just before the phone goes, making sure that your mother knows how to put her arm on a cushion. If she has difficulty holding her arm up for that length of time, say a 5-minute phone call, if she's got a sore shoulder, as many of them have, or arthritis, or they find it difficult to hold a phone for too long, just make sure they can put their arm on a pillow, put that on their lap, and then they can relax the elbow on a pillow and just lean forward a little and take the phone call. So say all that set up just before the phone call, again reminding them and saying, you know, Mrs. Jones, I've got the phone, your son is going to phone at 4, so we're all ready for it, so just letting you know, and just saying the name of the son so she knows, okay, her son John is phoning now and she's ready for it. So she answers it. Now, that's all good. She's connecting with the son. If at all possible, if the carer can just stay there for the first few minutes, because often what happens is that the mother forgets she's talking to the son. She's sitting there with the phone, but she forgets she's talking to him and just either drops the phone or looks away, or, you know, stops listening, stops focusing, stops concentrating, stops realizing that she's actually on a phone call. So just lets the phone drop, and that's the end of the phone call. You know, the son's made all that effort to call, but how can he speak to her unless she's listening? So if the carer or someone else can be with the dementia resident while the phone call is going on, it's really important. Encouraging them to keep the phone to the ear, main thing, so they can actually hear. Encouraging them to speak up so that the person at the other end can hear, and encouraging them to speak loud enough and long enough and clear enough so that the person can have a conversation with them. Because often it's the other person at the other end making all the effort, providing all the conversation, which it mainly is that anyway, but at least encouraging the dementia resident to say something and respond and make an effort cognitively to contribute. And in that way, you're more likely to get more out of the phone call than just leaving them to it, because it's too difficult otherwise. If they're just left on their own to manage a phone call, it just easily drops out because they've just dropped the phone, and then that's the end of it. So I've written about these topics and more in the 2 books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit, both on Amazon and my website below. Thank you so much for your interest, your looks and your likes. Thank you.